The Dune universe finally has a series, and it is about nothing less than the Bene Gesserit, the Sisterhood that has operated in the shadows for millennia, guiding the fate of the Empire with their invisible hand. Their influence is felt throughout the universe, and yet few know of their power, thanks to their manipulation, seduction, and secrecy. Being a huge Dune fan and having read all of the Frank Herbert's books, I'm naturally interested in how an adaptation could work as a series. However, as the source material is not by Frank Herbert but by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson in their sci-fi novel Sisterhood of Dune, I was, and still am, skeptical as to whether the adaptation would be successful. Although the books by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson are canonical, they are controversial. But in this video I want to talk about the first episode of Dune Prophecy, specifically two themes that Valya Harkonnen addresses in her monologues: history and prophecy, and truth and lies. I'll also talk about what else I hope to see in the series. So it will be a lot about the ideology of the Bene Gesserit, their abilities, and their ultimate goal. So if you don't really know anything about the Bene Gesserit, this is the place to be. I'm also planning to make videos for the other episodes of Dune, where I'll talk about the characters and other aspects of the series, such as the breeding program. If you don't want to miss them, subscribe to my channel. I also made a video about the Bene Gesserit in the Dune films by Denis Villeneuve some time ago, as well as one about Lady Jessica. So if you want to know more about them, you can watch those videos as well. There will be no spoilers for Dune Prophecy, and all information about the Bene Gesserit is taken exclusively from the books by Frank Herbert. The Bene Gesserit understood the importance of history and prophecy early on, and how subjective and manipulative both can be. The narrative that can be developed from both is a crucial advantage in controlling an entire empire. Valya Harkonnen has realized this, on the one hand because she sees her great-grandfather seemingly denounced by the Atreides, and on the other because Rachella Berto Anirul gave her the prophecy about the fate of the Sisterhood, telling her, "You will be the one to see the burning truth and know." History holds special significance for the Bene Gesserit because they have access to the memories of all their female ancestors through their other memory. They possess a vast archive that allows them to analyze and interpret history in a very different way. In other words, it is a genetic memory. The other memory has not yet been mentioned. It is my hope, however, that there will be some mention of this in the future, especially since it looks like some of the acolytes are still relevant to the rest of the story. Only Reverend Mothers can access the other memory through the Spice Agony, as this potential can only be awakened by the Water of Life. So I hope we see both a Spice Agony and a newly awakened Reverend Mother. The ritual is dangerous, however, as the Water of Life is extremely poisonous, and a Bene Gesserit must go into a kind of trance state in order to transmute the poison into her body. Not every sister survives the ritual. It would also be interesting to see to what extent Valya Harkonnen was able to experience the war against the thinking machines through her other memory, and how much truth there is to her statement that the Atreides denounced the Harkonnen. This would be important to emphasize that the supposed perception of the good Atreides and the evil Harkonnen is only a product of subjective historiography. After all, history is written by the winners, not the losers. By the way, I find it strange that this war against the thinking machines is not called the Butlerian Jihad. It's just a detail, but it still surprised me. But enough of the past. With the prophecy we now look to the future, and that is supposedly still uncertain, unless you are Bene Gesserit. For the Bene Gesserit, prophecies are a means of controlling people for their own ends. It makes no difference whether the prophecy applies to many or few. The Bene Gesserit have the Missionaria Protectiva to control entire nations. a body within the Sisterhood whose sole purpose is to spread prophecies and legends among the populace of various planets in order to gain advantage and control for the Sisterhood by presenting themselves as religious figures and protectors. One problem I see in the show at the moment is how the prophecy of Tiran Arafel, the holy judgment brought on by a tyrant, is haunting the Bene Gesserit. It seems to be something magical, appearing as an epiphany shortly before the death of the first Mother Superior, Sister Rakela. I think Dune thrives on its self-contained logic. This means that apparently supernatural abilities such as the voice or the other memory can be explained by pseudo-scientific biological processes and genetics. Of course, from a truly scientific point of view, this is not true and is simply science fiction. My point here, however, is that this prophecy, spoken of a Dune prophecy, can so far only be explained by magic or a supernatural being. I think this is where the series loses its appeal. If magic is suddenly responsible for events, the Bene Gesserit lose their claim to cool rationality, and the Dune universe itself loses its credibility. But I don't want to judge the series too early, and I will wait to see how it develops. The balance of power between the emperor and the great houses is always in jeopardy because one party wants more power. Envy and greed can plunge entire planets into chaos because one person has miscalculated their power play. It is not for nothing that the Bene Gesserit have recognized the importance of weighing truth against lies. Humanity's greatest weapon is the lie, and the Bene Gesserit have perfected their game of truth and lies. As truthsayers, they can sense when someone is telling the truth and when they are hiding something, even when they are not lying. This makes them a perfect human lie detector. With this ability, they can establish themselves as indispensable to the noble houses. After all, anyone who spins intrigues has to reckon with the intrigues of others. Who doesn't want to know if their counterpart is telling the truth or not? However, having a truthsayer also makes you dependent on the Bene Gesserit. A Bene Gesserit can decide for herself whether she is telling the truth or not. In most cases, truthsayers will do their duty diligently so as not to damage the reputation of the Sisterhood. But we know that the Bene Gesserit have their own agenda and want to shape and guide the Empire as they see fit. They play their own game of truth and lies and have a particular advantage. However, this also makes them a target as they are always shrouded in secrecy and anyone outside the Sisterhood cannot know what they are up to. This makes them an elusive force that also causes great unease and resentment among those in power. They are often referred to as witches with evil intentions. However, these sisters have established themselves as indispensable as they can train noble daughters, oversee negotiations and mediate conflicts, in addition to their services as truthsayers. But their skills go far beyond that. They can read body language, tone of voice and subtle intonations to discern a person's intentions in a fraction of a second. Their abilities make them seem almost superhuman. But why do the Bene Gesserit amass so much power without using it publicly? In essence, the Bene Gesserit are pursuing the laudable goal of stability in the universe and are willing to accept that they will be met with disapproval. Humanity should be kept on a safe and stable path. The breeding program, for example, was developed for this purpose and is ultimately designed to produce the Kwisatz-Haderach. In this way, the Sisterhood hides its true goals, manipulating noble houses and entire planets to ultimately maintain stability in the universe. But no one knows this except the Bene Gesserit themselves. This makes them an incredibly complex and fascinating element in the Dune cosmos, as they also raise a fundamental moral question. Is any means justified if it allows me to achieve my essentially noble goal? I'm interested to see how Dune prophecy will develop and what else the series will show us about the Bene Gesserit. You can be sure that this video only explains a fraction of the Space Nuns and that they have other abilities that were either not shown at all or only hinted at. But we'll have to wait for the other episodes. In the meantime, enjoy the series, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video of episode 2 of Dune Prophecy.